All right, y'all. So tomorrow, basically, when this video comes out, there's gonna be a blackout in my house for basically all day. So I was gonna record this another day, but I was like, there's so much stuff coming out, obviously with like the collab and stuff like that. And obviously, as you guys don't know, the next set of banners after this new vestie should be like reruns and stuff like that. I already made a Should You Summon, so go watch that video. I'm not gonna make a Should You Summon again. But there's just so much stuff Nikke related. I have to do account wars. Your boy has a busy channel, basically, right? But we are going to be doing the tier list for August. I said I would do this after vestie came out, and obviously, I need to add Eleg. That's another character. I don't have Eleg on this tier list, and if you don't know, the last one we did ended at Dorothy, right? So we have to add Eleg onto this with the new favorite items on top of course, the brand new 3 characters being Vestie, Yunwa, and Emma. So I'm just gonna add what's her name into this real quick, and then we are gonna go into that, right? Also, if you're wondering why these videos haven't been edited, the last few videos, it's just because Adobe is pissing me off, and that will be like for another, that will be another story time. But here you guys see we have the full meta tier list, right? Essentially, meta are just the characters that are kind of being used everywhere. This is an overall tier list, right? Some meta are like the characters who are, you know, literally sub metas, replacements, or they're just used mainly with one team, but like very powerful. Then you have the good characters who kind of just have one solo, you know, they're just very powerful in one single thing, but then that's really it. And then usable are the characters who kind of have that niche, and then that's it. And then bad are just characters that I just personally think aren't that good, right? I just don't think they're being used. I don't think they have any niche. I mean, every character is gonna have a niche at the end of the day, but like some characters are just trash. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Sora is just trash, right? But we're gonna rank these characters here. We're gonna start off with Eleg, because Eleg was the last character to drop after Dorothy, and I think Eleg is going to be in the sub meta tier. I think she is a staple for the water team. Where is she? She's a staple for the water team, right? Now she's not necessarily mandatory for the water team, because it's not like if you don't have Eleg you can't win, right? Before I had Eleg, I was able to get the rewards I needed from anomaly interception and stuff like that. But if I'm looking from the outside looking in, and I'm just looking at the character as a solo character, I do think she's very useful. Is she going to be the first pick on your team? Not necessarily, but she's probably going to be the first pick on your water team. Not only is she going to be the first pick on your water team, but she does have a lot of good effects, right? Obviously, she's a buff for 2 water characters, right? But another thing that I kind of find very useful about her is if you have her as like a flex burst 3 character, and then she gets this effect right here where she just deals the 1000% of final attack as damage. I find this to be very helpful against mobs and projectiles because it just deletes it, right? So I do think Eleg is a sub DPS or a sub meta character. She's kind of like Ludmilla. Literally, those are like the 2 sub DPS characters you will kind of switch and flip around. But other than that, I don't really have her anywhere else. I don't think there's anybody on this list already that I want to move up and down. Like, realistically, I just don't think there's anybody that I want to move up and down if I'm talking about an overall setting. So we'll leave it like that for now. But after that, we're gonna go to the favorite item characters. Now, I don't think any of these favorite items besides one is really good, and that's gonna be Julia. I think Julia has the very good DPS. Like, I think she's a very good DPS. My thing is, Julia kind of becomes a very powerful character in the sense of, if we're looking at iron DPSs, like you have Eve, you have Julia, you have Laplace, Raven, Snow White, and then I would say Red Hood as well, which Red Hood is not here for some reason, but you have Red Hood as well, right? When it comes to the DPSs of Iron, Julia is up there, right? Because the strongest would probably be Red Hood. Second strongest would probably be Eve or Julia, right? But just because she's one of the stronger Iron DPSs doesn't mean that she needs to go up. I do think, like, besides damage for Iron, she has nothing else for you, so that's kind of why I'm putting her on par with Eve and Raven. And it's just because she's kind of the same thing as them. She's kind of like the Quincy, Phantom, and Guillotine of Iron, which I would say like the Quincy, Phantom, and Guillotine of Iron would literally be Eve, Raven, and Julia. That's just my opinion, right? I think you can use them on your team easily. Like, you can put them on your team. Any 3 of these characters, if you have them built, you could put them on your team and get very far, regardless if they're type advantage or not, because Julia does hit very hard still, type advantage or not, right? Obviously she hits harder type advantage, but if you have these characters built up with her favorite item, Julia is really good. And it goes to show there's levels to this, because obviously the Julia before, I don't even know where I had her. I don't see her down here. Where's the Julia? Oh, right here. Julia before was a bad tier, and now her favorite item puts her in good. I just don't think her favorite item puts her in sub DPS. But then again, I feel like it should, because Julia hits harder than Laplace. So do I put Laplace in good then? And same thing as Drake? But my thing is, Drake is sub meta for DPS, or for the shotgun team. Right, that's why she's sub meta, because she's used a lot actually with that shotgun team, especially with the addition of Dorothy and Tove's favorite item, which also we want to put Tove's favorite item in good. Right, I'm gonna put Laplace up here. I feel like it's a bit weird for me to put Laplace up here and not Julia, but then again, I don't think Julia is better than these characters. Nor I think Eve and Rave. I think Eve is sub meta. I might put Raven in sub meta too. I don't think it's crazy for me to say that. Eve and Raven are used a lot. Maybe not so Raven, but Eve is used a lot. Outside of PvE, I don't think she's used in PvP, but in campaign, I see her used a lot. I see her used in solo raids, union raids. She's used almost everywhere, realistically, besides PvP. So I feel like I should give her that. And then again, it kind of makes me want to put Julia in some meta, but like, if I'm thinking about in a general sense, I'm not using Julia unless I am using her against like an iron team. Eve, I'm putting her on my team. A lot of people use Eve. I think a lot of people use her just because they like Eve, but she is very good, right? So I think it's kind of crazy for me to put Eve in here. I'm gonna just put them all down here, right? I'm gonna just put them all in good. If you guys want them to go higher or not, let me know. And then argue Laplace as well. Do you guys think Laplace should be in some meta? I feel like Laplace shouldn't be up there if these girls are not here. Like, I feel like Laplace is kind of on par with these girls right here. Literally, I feel like these are all the same. When it comes to Tove's favorite item, I don't really think it's that crazy, right? It's really no different than the sub meta Tove. Like, I think I would probably put this Tove in good and then the favorite item in sub meta, and that's just because it makes it so much easier with the shotgun team. This Tove just makes the shotgun team so much more efficient. But then again, it's like, if you have this Tove built, I do think she's sub meta. So I'm gonna put both of them in sub meta. You know what I mean? If you do have her built, she is good, because essentially what this Tove is, in my opinion, this Tove right here, this Tove here is just like a Tove that's not fully invested, if that makes sense. Like, if I was to have the favorite item Tove, I'm getting the same performance as if I was to have my Tove built. But 9 times out of 10, if you have her favorite item, you already have her built. So it's not really that much of a difference. So I'm gonna just put her in the sub meta because of that, right? Polly, I'm sorry, Polly's favorite item is really, really bad. It's not that much of a difference than what she had before. It's quite useless. So wherever Polly was before, that's where she's gonna go. Because I think this Polly with the favorite item makes it like she's a lot more usable in PvP, right? Or she gets a lot more general use because like now her favorite item is good in PvP. But other than that, not really much to this character. I still think even after her favorite item, her best feat is her shield off her burst skill, and then also her attack buff. But other than that, not much behind that. Bay, I'm gonna also have to put her in the same tier. I think Bay favorite item, Bay is good. I do think so, because it unlocks you, like, you unlock more comps and stuff like that, right? Obviously, when you get Bay's favorite item, she solves a lot of her issues, right? She solves her damage reduction, she solves her cover rebuild, she solves her healing problem. She also makes it that you can use her with crown, and her and that crown comp is quite lethal. Like, it's crazy, right? So I am gonna put her in the good tier because there is quite a difference from her favorite item compared to no favorite item Bay, and that's the reason why I'm gonna put her in that good tier. Realistically, she's at the bottom of the good tier. She is usable. I think if you ever want like a solid tank, Bay is always going to be that go-to option for that, because she's just that good, especially with her favorite item now, right? So yeah, this is going to be interesting, because you would think I would rank all these characters on the same tier. I'm not going to. I think 100% after testing all 3 of these characters, I'm gonna just say right now, this is probably it. I think it's this. I think Emma and Yunhwa are going to be sub-meta characters, especially for that fire comp. I think if you're going to fight anything fire-related, Emma and Yunhwa are going to be like your go-to characters, right? Because they technically are just that good in terms of like a duo, in the sense of like they're not masked and anchor. I don't feel like, right? They're not crown level. They're not masked and anchor level. They're probably like bunny girl level, but like slightly better than bunny girls, because bunny girls are 2023 characters. These are 2025 characters. So they're like, I would say they're like the second best duo in this game after masked and anchor. But like for their team, you're only using these characters with one team, and that's the fire comp. You're using them if you're using Rappy, and if you're using Rappy, you might as well put on Miharu on that team, or Vesti if you want, whoever. Right, but long story short, this team is only going on the fire comp. I do think it's going to be a main staple between Emma and Yuno. The buffs that they give to each other, or at least their full capabilities, right, is very good. Emma is a fantastic support if you ever with Yuno. She's healing quite a lot. She's giving you your attack buffs, your true damage buff for Yuno or whatever. And Yuno is just a crazy DPS, not to mention she is supporting the team as well. My thing with Vesti is that Vesti is a bit lackluster in damage, right? Like Vesti really isn't that great in damage, and it's so unfortunate because Vesti unlocks her full capabilities as well when you have her with those two, right? But I don't think, like, I would never in my life, if I had Vesti, Emma, and Yunhua, I will never in my life put Vesti on that team. I won't. I will use Emma and Yunhua all the time on any fire team. Like, really, if I'm fighting a fire boss and I'm have Rappy and Mihara, I'm picking them. I'm picking Rappy, Mihara, and then those two. 100%. 1,000,000,000%. But I'm never gonna put Vesti on the team, and I just think it's because Vesti is just not that good. Even if you invest into her, it's still not worth it when Mihara, even Alice, right? And I'm not saying this to like put Alice down because she's a hard hitter, but like even Alice hits harder than Vesti. Even Cinderella, these characters who are not type advantage hit harder than Vesti, and that's just the reality of the situation. So I really think that if you are going to use Emma and Yunhua, just use those two, and then put the original team, which is Rappy, and then the third. If you want to put Vesti, Vesti can go on that team. Like, it's not like she's a waste on that team, but I personally find it a waste if every other character, or a lot more character, even Asuka will hit harder than Vesti, right? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot more fire characters in the game, even just a lot more characters in the game that will hit harder than Vesti. And again, since Vesti is nothing but a DPS, she's not offering you anything but damage. So if you're putting somebody on the team who hits harder than her, and a lot of characters who are type advantage or not type advantage hit harder than her, especially with a team that was meant for her, that's quite concerning in my opinion. And that's the only reason why she's going into good tier. But this is just my meta tier list for August, right? I think these characters are always going to be meta. I think obviously DK the Wife was a character that will always be meta, right? And especially with this new composition where you kind of want her on that team for the cooldown reduction, she's always going to be meta. This is always going to be meta to me. I think if there was anything in some meta that could go up and down, it would probably just be nothing, nobody. I don't think, maybe Modernia, but then again, Modernia is very good for projectiles. She's just not being used. And it's kind of the same thing with bunny girls. They're only being used if you're fighting like multiple, like if you're doing solo raid or union raid or whatever, right? But other than that, I feel like everybody in sub meta are sub meta characters. Everybody in meta is meta. Everybody in good is good. And then everybody usable is literally just usable, and everyone in bad is just bad, right? There's nobody that I would like actually put up and down. Maybe I could argue these four, right? But my whole thing is, when it comes to Eve, Raven, Julia, and Laplace, my thing is wherever like one goes, I think the others should go. That's how I feel like these four should always be together, because they're basically all the same units in terms of damage, right? Like Julia hits as hard as Laplace, Laplace hits as hard as Raven, or maybe not Raven. Raven hits the hardest out of these guys, I think, right? And then Eve hits just, the only thing is like Raven hits the hardest out of these four, but Raven is only good against bosses, right? Where these characters hit very hard, but they're used anywhere. Like you can use them anywhere. Bosses, mobs, whatever, you name it. You can use Eve, Laplace, and Julia anywhere and get, maybe not Julia, because the one thing about Julia is that she's not like a AoE girl, right? She's not really an AoE girl. So I would say, if I had to rank this, I would say Raven's the strongest, Eve the second strongest, Laplace the strongest, Julia's fourth strongest. And again, Raven is quite the staple for, like, you know, she's very powerful for iron, but when it comes to iron, the DPS is above them, which is Red Hood and Rappy, are they're leagues they're leagues above these other characters. So it's like, it's just night and day realistically. But this is my little final meta tier list opinion. You guys let me know if you agree, if you don't agree. You guys won't be seeing another meta tier list until next month. So the midway point of next month. So what is it? It's August 20th today. You guys won't be seeing another one until like September 20th, right? You guys kind of get these meta tier lists at the half of the month of every month. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. If you agree, if you disagree, I don't know. It's your boy Zxous. I'm out. Peace.